Hello, I'm Mark Price. I'd like to talk to you today about dashed hopes and dreams. There was a young boy who was asked by his pastor, "What is God's name?" Young boy thought and looked up and said, "Andy." And the pastor said, "Andy? What do you mean Andy? Where do you get Andy?" And the little boy said, like the song, "Andy walks with me, Andy talks with me, and he knows I am his." Anyway, another little boy was asked where God lives. The little boy smiled and said, "In the bathroom." And the pastor said, "What do you mean in the bathroom?" He said, "Because every single morning Mom comes downstairs, goes to the bathroom, but it's locked. So she shouts out, 'God, are you still in there?'" One young boy was at his church service, and the pastor came up and said, what did you think of the service?" And says it was the first time that the young boy had been given permission by Mom and Dad to put the money into the plate. The young boy looked up and said, "Well, I thought it was a good show for a nickel." The reading today is from the Gospel of Luke, chapter 24, verses 13 through 35. That very day, the first day of the week, two of Jesus' disciples were going to a village 7 miles from Jerusalem called Emmaus. And they were conversing about all the things that had occurred and had happened, that while they were conversing and debating, Jesus himself drew near and walked with them. But their eyes were prevented from recognizing him. He asked them, "What are you discussing as you walk along?" They stopped, looking downcast. One of them, named Cleopas, said to him in reply, "Are you the only visitor to Jerusalem who does not know of the things that have taken place these days?" And he replied to them, "What sort of things?" They said to him, "The things that happened to Jesus the Nazarene, who was a prophet, mighty in deed and word, before God and all the people, how our chief priests and rulers both handed him over to a sentence of death and crucified him. But we were hoping that he would be the one to redeem Israel. And besides all this, it is now the 3rd day since this took place. Some women from our group, however, have astounded us. They were at the tomb early in the morning and did not find his body. They came back and reported that they had indeed seen a vision of angels who announced that he was alive. Then some of those with us went to the tomb and found things just as the women had described, but him they did not see. And he said to them, 'Oh, how foolish you are! How slow of heart to believe all that the prophets had spoke. Was it not necessary that the Christ should suffer things and enter into his glory?' Then beginning with Moses and all the prophets, he interpreted to them what referred to him in all the scriptures. As they approached the village to which they were going, he gave the impression that he was going on farther. But they urged him, 'Stay with us, for it is nearly evening and the day is almost over.' So he went in to stay with them. And it happened that while he was with them at table, he took bread, said the blessing, broke it, and gave it to them. With that, their eyes were opened, and they recognized him, but he vanished from their sight. Then they said to each other, Were not our hearts burning within us while he spoke to us on the way and opened the scriptures to us?" So they set out at once and returned to Jerusalem, where they found gathered together the 11 and those with them who were saying, "The Lord has truly been raised and has appeared to Simon." Then the two recounted what had taken place on the way and how he was made known to them in the breaking of the bread. The Gospel of the Lord. So as I said, I'd like to talk to you today about dashed hopes and dreams. In the readings, we hear about these two men, disciples of Jesus, walking the journey from Jerusalem to the town of Emmaus. And all of a sudden, there's another man walking with them, and they don't recognize that it's Jesus. And they're complaining about how with Jesus dead and gone, their hopes, their dreams are gone. They've vanished. They had had the hopes that Jesus would be the Redeemer. Jesus would be the Messiah, like a King David or a General Judas Maccabees, would regain the glory of once was in Jerusalem for the people of Israel. And it was all gone now with his death. How often in our lives do we have hopes, do we have dreams, and then they're dashed? This coronavirus, this pandemic, has dashed a lot of hopes and dreams. Marriages have been canceled, graduations canceled, vacations canceled, celebrations canceled. A myriad of things in our lives that we had planned and hoped for have been canceled as a result of the pandemic. Just the other day I heard of a couple that were married on the internet. All the guests, the family, the friends, they all attended the wedding over the internet. The pastor, the preacher, the one who married them was there on the internet. And everything, the interactive nature of the internet these days, they were married. We can choose to focus on what we've lost, the dashed hopes and the dreams, or we can look for creative ways to bring back new hopes and new dreams. Christine Kane wrote, sometimes when you're in the dark place, when you're in a dark place and you think all is lost, we think we've been buried. But in reality, maybe we've been planted. And then it's up to us to figure out how we're going to bloom. As a people of faith, we know that whenever we are down, sad, lost, we have a reason for hope. Because we have Easter. And like the two on the road to Emmaus, we may not see Jesus with us, but as they learned when they opened their eyes, Jesus is with us, and He's with us through everything. The great author C.S. Lewis wrote, I believe in Christianity as I believe in the sun. Not just because I can see it, but by it, I see everything. This is Mark Price. Thanks for listening.